Hi everyone, welcome to the Youth Quick podcast, and these are my teammates right here, Gaia and Sherilyn. Okay, so in today's podcast we are going to be discussing all about youth and political literacy. So there is some very interesting fact when we talk about youth and political literacy here. Do you know that the statistics show that the Malaysian youth today, 66% of them don't really care about politics? I mean, that is interesting, right?
That's a lot of number.
That is a very big
It's
number.
more than half the percentage.
Exactly. And not only that, 70% thinks that politics is not really relevant to them.
Now that's dangerous.
That is super dangerous. And today we are going to tell you all about why political literacy is really important among the youth. So just to kickstart off the topic, shall we just dive into what is political literacy in the first place?
Political literacy is basically like having youth who are informed in politics and staying informed in politics. And yes, in this country, I can say that youth are quite informed in politics. But the number of the percentage of like what Hannah said, like the percentage of being informed and not informed, it's quite a big difference. And although we can be happy like there are youths that are informed, at the same time the number that is uninformed is quite worrying as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And some are not taking actions and they're not really giving the involvement towards politics, and that is very important. And they just want to get out of this country if there is a political problem. They just want to escape out of this. I think they have to educate themselves, and schools also need to start educating our kids to know about the politics. Absolutely, have started off from very early age of elections and everything.
We basically have to instill the importance of politics among the youths of today. If we are trying to look forward to a better future, a better nation. So political literacy is actually very important, whereby we educate politics itself to the youth. And whenever we say politics, I'm sure everybody gets scared because
A lot of them get turned off. I mean, the political turmoil in this country is is a lot of things to unpack.
yeah,
Very true.
very true. So now that we have briefly discussed on like what political literacy really is, and especially among youngsters, now we are going to talk about why is it really important that the youths are that they need political literacy in the first place. So why is it really important that we have political literacy? I mean, all of us are youngsters here, and I'm sure most of our viewers are youngsters here. So why do you guys think that we need political literacy at this current time?
I feel like as youths, you realize like the younger generations have more years to go, and we have more time left, and everything that is happening right now, and we are the future. So we should be heavily involved and very active in deciding what the future is. In everything we do, in decision making, in think tanks and whatnot. And I feel like that is like a really important thing, and it correlates to political literacy. Like what we can see here is that the fact that politics play a major role in deciding every law and enforcements and rules and regulations
very true, yeah.
that would affect us for the decades to come.
Very true. And also, I think that part will encourage the youth to get enforced, to voice out, to protest, and they need to do the needful thing for the country. If it's Malaysia to be a very good country, to be the least top 10, the best country, then youth has to voice out, because the generation is passing on, and we need to get into the current trend. If we are still in the back end, so it's like that, nothing is not going to be changed. And it's going to be the very old Malaysia. We are moving forward, and things has to be changed, and youth has to be responsible. They are the asset of to the country. So if they are not being responsible, what's the point of it? The country is just going to backgate, and be just very bad.
Yeah, I think that's so true. I mean, by just telling them that they need to be responsible is actually a huge thing already, because the country's state is in the hands of the youth. It's in the hands of the youth, and the generation that is gonna go, what is left behind for the youngsters of today? Are they going to pick up the slack of all that is being left up, that is currently being left to us? And if they are not educated, especially, they are going to learn everything from scratch, and moving forward is not to say going to be it's not impossible, but it's going to be a very difficult movement. I mean, you guys agree, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be a very difficult movement as we move forward, because we are learning everything on our own
Yep.
and from scratch, and we are trying to abide by the law. And I think it's important that the older generation also get involved, because they are passing on the baton to the youngsters. And not only that, they have the experience that we do not have.
Yep.
So they could share their experiences, and we will try not to make the mistakes that they have made, or
And-
that the country has made, for that matter.
and at the same time, like, come up with fresh policies and things that have not been brought up before. Because you see, when generations are being passed on, there is a different form of thinking. I know
Correct, yeah.
our thinking skills are very different. Our thought process are all different. So when you take all that and when you make new amendments, new laws and all that, you can see there are differences. It's something that we need to have, that so that we are up to date with everything that we do, and it's on time with everything we do as well.
Exactly. And now that we see in our country, in fact, all of us are aware about the tension and certain conflicts of ideas, of belief system,
Yep.
and of there are many aspects to talk about. And I think it's very important that the youths are included in all these matters, because they are going to be living in this land in times to come. And we're going to do a lot of work. We're going to be doing a lot of work for this
And
nation.
also, the older generation need to trust us.
Yep.
If they
Yep.
don't,
Yep.
if they don't let us to work, and what's the point? We are working towards the better future. They need to trust us, and they need to support us. If they're not supporting, there's no point making any changes. And we do our changes, and they come back again and say, no, this is not how you're supposed to work.
Yep.
They re-change again. So it's like the pattern is just passing back at the end, and there is no changes has been happening
There's no
around.
trust basis,
Exactly.
like it's time to pass the baton and move forward and stuff.
They should supposed to guide us, not to telling you stop working on it and say like you're not matured enough to handle the politics. We are there, so like they have to support us.
I mean, if you think about it, like you say that we are not matured enough to handle politics now, it's gonna turn. It's gonna be a whole cycle all over again. We are gonna grow up. We're gonna be in our 40s and 50s,
Exactly.
and we're gonna be doing the same argument again
all
and
of us are
again.
educated enough to handle
In parliament,
everything.
Yeah.
and then there will be another generation that's going to be complaining about us.
Generations today, youngsters today are more informed than ever. I mean,
Yeah.
apart from the percentage that you said just now, but the whatever percentage of people that are left, in my point of view, I feel like they are very good in what they do.
Yeah.
So it's just about trusting and everything, and making sure that it would be a smooth transitioning process from the older generation going to a fresh and new generations.
And boiling down to the fact of why it's important, the youths have fresh ideas on what they want to contribute to the nation. They're not doing this for personal gains aside and everything. At some point, some people do get selfish. Yes, we can't deny that. But the point is that we can't take old school methods and apply it to the new future. That's what I'm saying.
There's like a lot of changes in terms of or everything you can see. External factors. You start with internal, but external factors, it also indirectly affects us. Like all the crises that is going on. For example, you can see the climate change crisis.
Yes.
The one who's voicing out the most is our YB Nurul Izzah. She is youth. Yeah, but you don't see that kind of energy coming from the older generations, like YB, Yobin and all that. They are considered the youth, although like they are not that young, but they are still young.
Yeah.
So you can see where the difference in the way that their perspective and the older generation's perspective.
Yeah. Alright guys, so as we can see that we have covered a few areas on youth and political literacy already. And now that we have known what political literacy is, and not to mention the correlation between youth and political literacy, and what we have just even spoke about, in fact, why is political literacy important to the youth of today? So before we kick off the next part of our podcast, we would like to ask you a simple question. Why do you think there is a lack of political literacy among our youth today? And just leave your comments in the comment section below and we would love to hear from you. Okay guys, so let's just dive into why is there a lack in political literacy among youth today? I mean, let us discuss here. I mean, this is like it's a serious matter, really.
I mean, freedom of speech.
Oh yeah, freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is a very grey area in our country. This is affected by so many law and amendments and everything, and it sort of creates a fear among youth which has been fueled by the previous generations. I mean, like when we had the 1998 riots and everything, our parents were around at that time and they were sort of the young generation at that time, and that sort of created a fear among them, like, wow, if you fight, like if you go, this is all going to be like violence used against you and everything. And they have the fear, and it's been instilled in them, and they have passed on to our generation people. And on top of seeing having fear that has been passed down through generations, we can also see the sort of punishments. And I mean, all of us are very well aware, and daily news we can see this person getting arrested, being called, being called to the headquarters, and questioning after questioning. It's like form of it's taxing to the mental health, and most of them want to spare themselves from this kind of things that would affect their mental health and probably their livelihoods.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, as what we've spoken earlier about trust. In fact, trust requires the freedom of speech. Like, if you are not free to speak, you do not build a certain trust between the youth and the older generation. And not to mention we're not playing a blame game here, but if we were to realistically see that the mantle is going to be passed on to the youth today, trust needs to be built. And how is trust being built? It's being built by giving the youth a voice. It's by giving them a chance to speak out their mind, to speak out what are their takes on current issues of today. I mean, we're not just talking about who rules the nation, really. We're talking about implementing policies that could improve the state and lives of people. We're talking about economical growth. We're talking about social growth. In fact, how to be a more inclusive nation, how to learn to live in unity, especially.
And it's not like a live in the moment kind of thing to just brush it off. This is going to go on for decades and generations. So it's a very serious matter, actually.
Yeah, as you say, there is no unity. So whenever there is protesting happening or awareness, like people are not supporting, they are not getting united together. Okay, let's solve this problem together. They are not doing that. They're like, okay, you doing 50%, I'm going to do like 100%. They want to show whose power is very heavy. So it's like, it's not that. You have to sit together and solve the problem together. That's how it shows how Malaysians are. If the politics are not being united, how Malaysians are going to be united. So everyone is going to leave Malaysians, and they have been thinking, okay, I need to migrate to another country. So like, awareness is not there. They're not being united to solve any issues in this country.
Yeah, and it's like you said, like if within the leaders of the nation, right? I mean, within the parliamentary setting and everything. I mean, yes, we have the government, yes, we have the opposition and all. But the whole point of putting them together in one room is to come into one mind, into one accord, so that one decision, a unified decision can be made, regardless of who won the ballot, really.
Exactly.
Regardless of who won the ballot for which states and how many chairs that you partake. I mean, we understand that there is some sort of political standing there, but when we are put together in one room, we are giving ourselves an opportunity to come to a unified decision. And how
to really bring something to the table.
Exactly, to bring something to the table in a uniform manner, so that that whole room is actually a setting where all the great minds, all the leaders of the nation, regardless of how young or how experienced a person is, we are coming together in one mind, one accord, saying that we are moving this way for the nation.
Very true.
Yeah, and about what you mentioned earlier about how youths are migrating elsewhere. I mean, this is actually a very big concern, although not many people realize it, but that it's common among the millennials, and it's slowly going to be common among the Gen Zs as well.
Yep.
And because they are afraid about the unstableness of politics in this nation, the best way is to just get out of here, really, to get out of the nation and to probably start their lives afresh in a new nation. I mean, every nation has their own challenges, no doubt, but
You go as you migrate, and you form a diaspora there, and that is different. And if everybody starts leaving, who's going to be here?
exactly, yeah. Exactly, yeah. I mean, if everyone starts leaving, the country is going to slowly come to an end with the last generation there is.
Yep.
So there's no one really to take up. I mean, where is the future of Malaysia then? Afterwards, will there even be a Malaysia?
It's a big question.
It's a very big question. Will there even be a Malaysia? So, as we were talking about, where would the future of Malaysia be? And I know we have raised certain concerns, important concerns about political literacy, and not to mention that sure there are some negative implications that there is when we talk about youth and political literacy, and not to mention the lack of political literacy in our country today. But worry not, we are going to go into some of the positive impacts that could actually bring a change to this nation when the youths are educated politically. And just to kickstart that off, when youths are actually when they have more political literacy, or when they are well informed about politics, we are looking towards a better tomorrow.
Yep.
We are looking towards a country that is moving onwards, and we are moving upwards with fresh new ideas. We are talking about how little things that within the capacity of young people could make such a big difference in society. And we don't have to talk about the large scale first. I mean, yeah, there are many little things that I'm sure you guys are more aware of it than us also, that there are little campaigns that are social media movements that are taking place online just to raise an awareness on a certain current issue. It could be maybe sexual harassment. It could be maybe about helping the flood victims when there was a flood in our country. We are talking about helping the need of school children when they are, especially during the lockdown time. Remember when they are in need of technology and they need to have internet access. There were many ideas that were brought to the table by our youngsters.
And what is the most significant we can see is that they have emphasized on reaching a bigger audience,
right?
Because they know the more the merrier. But at the same time, it's not just about it's a figure of speech, but there has been proofs of just not like the olden days, okay, raise awareness and we are done. This is like they are doing something.
Turun Padang.
Yeah, Turun Padang. Exactly. Yeah. That's the most Malaysian way to say it.
Turun Padang.
Yeah, Turun Padang. I mean, as you have said, little things that cause our youngsters to they start to take ownership of this land. They start to take ownership of the issues that are being
putting
faced.
Differences aside.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Putting differences aside, and they are starting to take ownership of the fact that, hey, we can do something about this. That sure, we don't have all the facilities needed. We don't have a military army behind us. We don't have the air forces or anything. But within our capacity, what can we raise? What are for example, raising funds for flood victims, or even provision. If each of us here, even you guys at home, or wherever you're watching from, just one rice packet a day. Let's say we take one rice packet from each home, we can already feed maybe 30 families already.
And if you see nowadays, yes, we are affected by the inflation and things, but the food banks and all, it's mostly it's a collective joint effort, and we can see a lot of youth participating.
Exactly. And not to mention the inflation rate isn't really going to get better anytime soon. But even so, we see that food banks are rising up. I mean, there's no lack in food banks, and a lot of the initiatives are, our youths that are participating really, and they are just trying to just be a good person, really.
Go out and give their best.
Give their best, putting their differences aside. There is no personal gain involved. There is just a need to help someone. It's as simple as that. It's just a humanity thing, really. Like, you see someone in need and you just go help them out.
Yeah, day by day, they're just getting responsible and taking charge. Whenever there is a need, whenever there is an emergency, these people are being there to enforce everything, whatever they need. Homes, food, education-wise, they're giving laptops, books, and if there is a flood coming up, they say, okay, this type of people, they need a home for just for some time, and helping them to clean their homes and giving them all the necessary facilities like TVs, fans, beds, everything they are sorting out. Like I have been went through the Hulu Langat floods happened. My face to face, I saw that youths are helping those people to clean up their house, helping the aunties and uncles to at least give them help.
And it wasn't an easy job, and
Exactly.
it's like a first time thing for many people.
Yeah. I still remember one of we had a whole house in Hulu Langat, so my neighbor was telling that youths lucky they came at 12 a.m. midnight. They helped that uncle and auntie to bring them up to. They were on construction place. They were just sitting. There were nothing. There were no roof. Nothing. They just helped them to cover up the roof with the cloth so that they can be there at least for 24 hours. And these people were there for 24 hours in that mini construction place, so that until the flood goes out. So
That's awesome.
It's the resilience that's pushing.
Exactly.
It's like they are trying to do their best.
Yes, until today they are giving out support like funds, food, and all those necessary items for the family and also for the kids for their education life.
That's very true. I mean, like, speaking of the flood, I even have an experience on my own regarding the Shah Alam flood. When the Shah Alam flood happened, me and a certain group of people, like, we wanted to go and to give out some grocery vouchers, so that the families are, they are taken care of and all that. So when we hear stories from them, right, I mean, like, it's really sad to see the condition of their house and the surrounding environment, and not to mention that when the help came to them,
it's also liberating to see that the form of help that was pouring in. It was all out.
Very efficient.
Yes, and if you really look at it, or even as we reflect back on what happened, really, the help that was given to these people were just simple citizens, really. We are not talking about big standing leaders of the land. We are not talking about people in prominent position. We are just talking about, hey, I'm your neighbor, can I help you? That's it's as simple as that.
Race and religion were not seen at that time.
Exactly. Differences were put aside. And when I went there, we're hearing stories about how because there are many youngsters in that neighborhood, so they were talking about how they helped their neighbors, clear up all the garbage that was piling up, and because they had like a river in that area, so the garbages was piling up. A lot of their furnitures were destroyed, and they had to carry all those heavy furnitures out, and their cars were destroyed. So many things were gone, like so many important documents.
They had to start from scratch.
The IC, birth certificate, and everything.
And the best, what is so nice to hear from them, despite of all that they went through, you just hear them saying,
budak-budak ramai tolong.
Exactly. Budak-budak ramai tolong. Then, that itself showcases that the youngsters of today in this nation, they have a concern for where our country is going. They have a concern for their neighbors, their friends, their relatives, wherever, or even a random stranger on the road, really. They just want to go and say, hey, can I help you with this today? We see you struggling and stuff like that. And even some of them, they were saying like, as we were talking to them, they said, I mean, we had really short conversations with some of the neighbors around. So they just stopped us and like, I went with some uncles, and the youth told their uncle, it's like, uncle, just a moment, I need to go help my neighbor with something, because they need to move this out now, or else it's going to make a mess in the house. And I thought that was brilliant.
Yep.
That was brilliant. Like, you just decide to go. I mean, their priority.
You don't waste the time you get. You act according to what is needed then and then.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. So as you can see, the political literacy really creates a positive impact among the youth.
Yeah.
Then it's not something that we should really be afraid of, especially there are a lot of concerns that will rise when we talk about politics, and there are a lot of sensitive issues that will also rise when we talk about politics. But just like how we have mentioned before, it all takes a little unity. It all takes about putting our differences aside,
Understanding each other,
give
and take.
Yeah, exactly, give and take. And not only that, it's just about doing the little things, really. Just doing the little things for your neighbor first. I mean, we are not talking about, sure, one day the youth is going to take charge of the nation. They're going to run the country. They're going to govern the land. And that's when a lot of the big issues that will come about. How do you liaise with different countries, foreign investors, and so forth. But what we can do for now is just be a helping hand to someone, your neighbor, a stranger on the road.
A responsible young citizen,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a responsible young citizen. So political literacy is not just about who is the head of which state. It's not
who is winning how many ballots.
it's not about who's winning how many ballots. It's not about who is the leader of what. It's not about how many organizations you have. It's not even about the amount of money you're earning, actually.
Yep.
It's all about showing your concern for the land. It's about showing that, hey, I was born and raised in Malaysia. I would like to do something that could help this country grow.
Yep.
That could help my friends, my family, my neighbors move forward, and we all can live in a better place together as one.
Yep.
So guys, there you have it. Like, we had a whole segment on youth and political literacy. I mean, there is so much more to be said, but I'm sure that the internet is filled with a lot of information on political.
I mean, we managed to touch the pros, the cons, the stumbling blocks and all that. Yeah.
All those important stuff to be discussed.
Exactly, and also why it is important for even us today.
Yep.
Like, why do we ourselves need to educate us? In why we should know more about politics and so on. So there you have it. This is the Youth Quick podcast, and this is Youth and Political Literacy. We'll see you again. Bye.